The Sultan has been cooking up this plan for months, and now it takes the Byzantines by surprise. The day after the Battle of the Bosphorus, Ottoman ships attack the port of the Golden Horn. It's an amazing victory for the Sultan.
This is an extraordinary coup for him, and it takes the Byzantines completely by surprise. The chain is now useless. He's now got his ships into the Golden Horn, and it tilts the balance back in his favor.
The Byzantines now have to defend an extra 3.5 miles of wall that they did not have to, and they're already stretched too thin trying to defend the 13 miles of the land walls. So life has suddenly gotten much, much worse for them. And it nearly breaks them.
1 month after the siege began, the Byzantines' morale is at an all-time low, and their reserves are practically exhausted. The soldiers are finding it increasingly difficult to defend the city. And Constantinople is completely surrounded. So Mehmed now decides to offer the emperor an honorable way out.
He has to find some way to save face, and what he really wants, what he has promised and told everyone, is he will take the city of Constantinople. He tells Constantine, if you will surrender the city, I will allow the entire population to depart in peace with some of their belongings, and I will let you depart in peace as well.
On the 25th of May, 1453, the young Sultan sends an emissary to the emperor, suggesting that he surrender.
The emperor and his dignitaries would be safe, as well as the population, but they would have to leave the city.
Abandoning his 1,000-year-old empire is unthinkable. In the Ottoman camp, they've been expecting Constantinople to surrender. So when the emperor refuses, Mehmed gathers his council of war and his troops.
The aim was to psych the men up with religious fervor to be prepared to do or die.
At the end of May 1453, Mehmed decides to launch a final assault on the walls of Constantinople.
Both sides know this is the end. It's going to be the final push.
One o'clock in the morning, there is a wall of noise, the banging of drums, and a vast blast of cannon fire. The first disposable troops have no option but to die. There is no going back.
The atmosphere is apocalyptic. The Turks come at the city in waves.
And it is only in the final assault that the Janissaries will be sent.
Mehmed sends the Janissaries, the cream of the crop of his troops, the elite of the elite.
Facing the best army of its time, the Byzantines defend themselves brilliantly. Giustiniani knows that in this last battle, the fate of the whole Eastern Christian Empire is at stake. Giustiniani calls on locals to volunteer for this ultimate defense of the city. They're all given weapons and sent up to the parapets. The women and children shelter in the city's large church, which as a place of worship will be spared the fighting. As both sides launch into a hand-to-hand struggle, chaos consumes the city.
The defenders under Giustiniani have little gateways from which they mount guerrilla attacks out of the walls. One of these raids, they forget to shut the door behind them.
50 men rushed through this door and managed to climb onto an open part of the ramparts.
A number of Ottomans are able to get through this gate and take a tower and hoist the Turkish flag over.
At this point, the Christians' fate hangs in the balance. Then, a major event suddenly makes matters worse. Just before sunrise, Giustiniani is wounded.
Giustiniani has been fighting non-stop for 45 days. He'd been slightly wounded the day before, but during the course of this final attack, he is hit, probably by a bullet, which penetrates his armor or gets under his armor.
It doesn't look like a mortal wound at first, but it is excruciatingly painful, and he decides to have himself taken down, understandably, decides to have himself removed from the walls.
His departure weakens his men's spirit. Despair spreads through the Byzantine ranks. Military order begins to fall apart.
This is one critical moment when a very valiant soldier was wounded, and then that actually created a huge decline in morale among the Byzantine troops.
The Byzantines dreamt of a miracle, of God helping them, of the Virgin Mary helping them, as they had in the past, but it didn't happen.
Inside the fortress, everything's in chaos. When the men notice the Ottoman flag flying, they believe that part of the city is already in enemy hands. The clamor rises, the city is taken. At this very moment, the emperor himself, with a band of his most trusted men, attempts one final counter-assault. It's the last time he's ever seen. He simply disappears.
After the battle, Mehmed orders his body to be found and decapitated. But although he does find a corpse that he claims to be Constantine's, it does not convince people who knew him in life. And so his remains are never found, although there are plenty of legends as to what happened to him afterwards.
The emperor's disappearance marks the end of the siege. After 55 days of fighting, Constantinople falls into the hands of the Ottomans. It's the end of one of the most violent episodes in history.
It was said that the streets ran with blood as if it was rainwater, horrific scenes of slaughter.
They might have killed, maybe 10,000 people out of a population of 90,000, but they quickly realized that rather than killing people, you could capture them, and slaves were of value, so they stopped the slaughter and they just started rounding people up.
On the 29th of May, 1453, Mehmed II makes a triumphant entry into the city. The Sultan celebrates his victory, but in some ways is surprisingly lenient.
He enters in triumph. He tries to stop his soldiers destroying some Byzantine churches. So already he has respect for the monuments of another civilization.
Normally, looting was allowed for 3 days. But Mehmed II asked after one day to stop the looting.